Good afternoon, Martin County. This is the Martin County Business Exchange Wednesday night show. And this is John Muffler Campion. I got my mask on. We're doing the best thing we can. Co-host here tonight with actually Evan doesn't realize it, but he's one of the co-hosts now. And we got Evan over there just plugging away. And guest host today is Todd Harris from Crown Car Care.
Hi.
Yeah. Anyways, here we are. You know, it's crazy out there, and we're glad to be in here, kind of taking the time out. Are you there, Frank?
I am here, and I'm enjoying watching you guys all masked up and looking rather buff.
Yeah, you're kind of cheating at home there. Your wife's got you probably still tied to. She still have you tied to the bed, but you know, it's world famous Big Frank Mezzapel. It's great to hear you, Frank.
It's good to see you and hear you guys as well. I'm excited for your show.
This is like a VIP show here with you and Todd with all his.
Got four of the best here,
and we got the number one Mets fan in the area here with Evan working that board and dressed in.
I don't hold that against him, by the way.
No, I know, but you know, it's like I said to a guy who doesn't work for me anymore. He was giving me a hard time the other day, and the last thing I said to him before I departed was, "By the way, Jerry, the Pirates are in first place," and left him with that. So here we are. Actually, I would like to get an update on what's going on with the baseball stuff because I only heard what happened last night, but I don't want to jump into
any update, Frank, on baseball. Tell us what's going on in that world.
I didn't get an update today, but I know that there's some concern. Probably Evan could tell us more about that. I know there's some concern about what the Marlins are up to, right?
Yeah, well, the Marlins currently have about 16 players reportedly that have COVID-19, and they are quarantining is what's happening. Pretty much.
And so they're done.
Yeah, they're pretty much their season's shot.
And a couple of the other teams kind of backed out on their games too, right?
The Heat have been winning their preliminary games.
Well, yeah. Well, they're all in that bubble.
Yeah, the bubble. I just heard on the news today. Up at the bubble, they tested players for COVID, and everybody came up negative.
But the bubble of trouble.
Yeah,
it could have been. Well, it was going to be a bubble of trouble with that one guy who went to the funeral and then ended up in the gentleman's club on social media.
What? That's not good.
No, it wasn't a good thing. But as you know, we digress. So, Frank, what you been up to out there, bro?
Oh, just the usual fun and frivolity. I will tell you, at the Flagler Center, we are gearing up for, of all things, baby showers and weddings.
Really?
So apparently, and I almost had to take off.
Bring your umbrella if there's showers.
Well, this is a different kind of shower.
I was thinking of babies raining out of the sky.
There are going to be some showers this weekend.
Well, babies will be raining, I think, quite a bit here in Martin County. So we're looking forward to some activity that way at the Flagler Center.
Wow.
We think that we'll be pretty busy going into the late months and rolling into the spring with
baby showers. Arrivals.
Yes.
Well, I think the hard part is the weddings.
Well, they clean up after themselves anyway, the people that have the weddings, don't they, Frank?
Todd's a troublemaker.
Big room.
Wow. Well, good luck with that. Good luck with that.
It'll be fun.
We have been running the show pretty good for about 6 weeks now, I think, huh, Frank?
Yeah.
And since we came back on, and then we start back with our face-to-face at the Elks Club, as we've talked in the past, where we the group, we have about 55 members, and we're always looking for new members, but we will be back at the Elks Club this next Wednesday. And look forward to getting a few bodies there together, distancing, and they do a great job over there where we don't really have to touch anything. And anyways, we're looking forward to that.
I've always wanted to have, like, when you go into like the Elks or the Moose, like Fred Flintstone would wear that hat, the moose hat.
Oh, gotta get one.
Wouldn't that be fun to show up in that?
Hey, Bonnie. Hey, Bonnie,
Yeah.
what's going on? Hey, Fred, I don't know.
Right.
I want to, I think I've seen those cars where they get going with their feet on the ground,
Yeah.
Ba-ba-ba-ba.
It's acceleration, they call
There
it.
you go. Well, you would know about
Yeah,
that.
acceleration. Yeah.
They call it.
There you
It's
go.
Slow and steady.
So, Todd,
So,
you were going to.
Todd, I like the title of your show today.
The Tale of Two Cities.
Yes.
If I can, I'd like to
wanted
read
you
a
to
quote.
Revise that.
Yeah,
Can
let
we
me
call
read
it-
something.
Listen to what he
Can
wants.
we
Yes.
Tell,
can we revise it?
tell
Of
him.
course.
Can we call it the tailpipes of two cities?
Oh, yeah. I like that. Except what
All
I'm going to
right.
read is from 1859.
All right, go ahead.
There's a correlation here, he said, to what's going on now from that great book, Tale of
Here
Two
we go.
Cities.
Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was epoch of belief. It was epoch of incredulous. Well, I can't even say- incredulous. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. We had everything before us. We had nothing before us. We were all going direct to heaven. We were all going direct the other way. In short, the period was so far like the present period that some of its noisiest authorities insisted on it being received for good or for evil, in the superlative degree of comparison only. Opening paragraph to Charles Dickens' 1859 novel.
So when you read that, you were like, "Oh my
Well, that
God!"
was but 1859 is this. It's what we got going on today.
That's
And
you
the
know,
moral
Isn't that
of that
amazing?
whole book has to do with today too. You have to be responsible for your own choices, the people you trust, and the actions you take. Duality exists in the world. Only truth is who you are and what you do. And that's about what that book is about. And I
it's
see
scary, isn't it?
I see what's going on today, and that's what I hear and read and watch today.
Very profound, Todd.
Well,
Tale of Two Cities.
it's amazing.
And you know what that was about? It was about the French Revolution. It was a guy named Manette, who was a doctor who was in prison, I believe, for 18 years, and he went to live with his daughter in England, London. And that is the tale of the two cities, was Paris as well compared to London.
That's a cool comparison. I like that.
That's what it was
You know.
about. So
Wow. So, are you reading the book, or you happen to just read that in this?
I picked up an interesting article
Yeah.
in one of my trade journals called Gears Magazine, which is for
Chevelle magazine.
gears for transmission
Gears. I'm
rebuilders.
sorry.
Gears. And it was a great article, and it was just good. And once I read that, I did some further research on it. And I figured, how appropriate.
Isn't that a book that's like this thick?
It's a big book.
Yeah. I
The
think
old books were big.
we might have it at home next to Grey's Anatomy.
Yes, that was a TV show, wasn't it?
Yeah, the TV show's a lot easier than the book.
Yeah.
But my wife knows exactly what page to go to on that thing.
In today's world, videos and listening to things are a lot easier than reading.
Well,
But boy, there's something lost when you don't read.
yeah. Well, that's what everybody's doing now is they're doing the, listening. My wife, she, listens to the books on tape.
Yes, so do I.
And she turns the speed up where I can't even understand it.
I'd never thought about doing the speed thing.
Yeah.
I'll do that before I fall asleep. They call it reprogramming of the brain.
You should do it because your mind is like
I
going
want a
fast.
frequency.
Right, Frank? Don't you think you would be doing that?
Time and a half.
Yeah, there you go.
Time and a half.
She's got that thing cranked up, and I go, "What are they saying?
Yes.
Can you understand
It
that?"
sounds like those ads on TV for some finance
Yeah,
company,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Wait a minute. What was that?
right, exactly. So, Todd, what's been going on over at the old garages?
But
Well,
wait, there's more.
But
Yeah.
wait, there's more. We just had our beautiful fish tank redone with African cichlids over at my Cove Road store.
With what?
African cichlids. I've had African cichlids in a gigantic fish tank at Cove Road, but I had a company come in and redo the entire thing and put 35 fish in there. Now it's just a beautiful sea of yellows and blues and reds, and it's
This
just
is
beautiful.
salt water.
No, freshwater.
Really?
They're from Lake Maui in Africa. They're caught there.
Cichlids. What are they? Is that the real?
They're related to Oscars, and
Okay.
discus fish
Yeah.
is another family, subfamily
So
of them.
don't stick your hand in there.
Although these are timid. They're tiny
Okay,
little things, but they
okay.
school.
Okay.
They flutter around with all the fish are fluttering around with their bright colors.
I have
It's
to
just
come
a
over, and that's
beautiful-
over in
Cove Road.
Road. I have
It's
to
just
come by.
beautiful.
Yeah. We used to have a salt.
How do they ship those fish over, Todd?
I think they carry them.
Yeah,
Do they?
in their luggage. It's carry-on luggage, Frank.
Yeah, China's crossed out, and then it says USA.
Yeah, that's right.
They ship it right over.
I was talking to somebody in my store today, and I looked at her mask, and there was all this Chinese on there. I said, "You got Chinese all over your mask." She goes, "I got Chinese on my mask. I don't know if I want that." I said, "Well, that's where they're all made." So, you know, that's
everything else though is the cars are still rolling around. There's still recalls going on with cars, which is an interesting topic.
Yeah, well,
different types of recalls.
Yeah. I have a 16 Yukon, and they had one on where the brakes may not go down right. So I had it fixed at a dealer.
Yes.
And then the dealer I bought it from kept sending me stuff, and I said, "Okay, so I have to tell you that I had this fixed by another dealer?" They go, "No." I said, "Okay, it must be in the, I don't know."
Should be in the records. I will tell you with recalls though, it's reason why recalls go forth at a much faster pace than it did in the old days. I would say maybe 80s and 90s is due to the connectivity of people with not only social media, but YouTube and the news. It almost is a policing mechanism for the car manufacturers and other manufacturers that keeps them in line, keeps the integrity with the shareholders of the companies that are publicly owned, and it forces them to act quicker. You see recalls that come out at a much faster clip. You see recalls come out that aren't even mandated by the National Highway Traffic Safety Council. They come out just because they want to do the right thing, because the consequences of not doing the right thing are so awful. And we see that in today's world right now, that companies are reacting to things before they're even pushed.
Well, you think back to when, was it the Explorer was
the
doing
Ford Explorer with the famous Firestone tires that separated and rolled them.
And then you had the airbag thing with
That's the Takata airbag.
And if you go way back on the tires, Firestone had a debacle back in the 70s, the 721 tire, which was a big recalled tire that's cord separated. It was one of their first radials. Firestone. That was round 2 was with the Explorers. They went through a whole big shebang.
That was huge.
Well,
big.
And that separated the relationship too with Ford, because Firestone and Ford, they were kindred spirits.
Yeah, well, they were buddies, but heads up, Firestone tires, I will say, even over there, they're not very good. The quality stinks. They're just quality control stinks, even though it's an American company. I believe it's just, you still have to make a good product no matter where it's made, in my opinion. I love American made. I'm a proud supporter of it, but by golly, make some good stuff.
So what are the tires that are made here? Bridgestone?
Coopers are made here. Coopers. But I will tell you, the creme de la creme of all tires is what we know, Michelin.
Yeah.
That's it. Because remember, when safety is on my mind with a vehicle, I can have bias where things come from, but I still have to boil it down to what's the best safety and track record of any product or any type of service I do in vehicles. It has to be safety first. And that has no borders. Safety has no borders.
Well, the important thing too, Todd, I think is, when you figure the tires are probably almost the most important thing in your car other than the brakes.
Yes.
Right?
Well, your feet too. You got to accelerate.
Sure.
How do you get going otherwise?
Fred had a lot of calluses on his toes, but
pedal to the metal.
that's where but it's just like anything else you buy, whether it's a kitchen faucet,
a toilet,
a Toto
toilet.
Okay, of course, but that's very nice of you. The whole thing is, spend a little more money on the right stuff, especially the stuff that is there to protect you or give you.
And it's not only, you see, when safety comes into play, some things aren't necessarily more money that are better. That I can tell you in my business. It's not necessarily, you don't necessarily have higher quality with a higher price. For the most part, yes, you would think in a free market, but not necessarily.
Okay, so let's say you're looking at cars and somebody says, oh yeah, the Mercedes. And we always think Mercedes, but they're expensive to repair
and they break down a lot.
And they do, don't they?
Yes, they do. Same with BMWs and same with Land Rovers.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a Giffen good is what they call it in economic terms. It's a high priced item that people want. Giffen good.
Now, when they, for example, I've seen the recent commercials with Honda having their, clearance, and they have the pre-certified Hondas that they put 100,000 or 7-year warranty on.
Yes.
And
It's generally powertrain only.
okay.
And there's exclusions. I mean, yes, it's a good warranty,
So
but
they
you
can
got to
stick
read the
that-
fine print.
Okay, yeah.
Because a lot of times it's what breaks isn't covered.
Because I think it's on the Hyundai, they have a 100,000 mile warranty.
That's correct.
Okay.
Right. But you got to watch. I mean, a lot of them require regular maintenance when the oil changes were done. You have to provide documentation. It's the way it is.
Right. And, I still remember from a few weeks ago when you presented your old car commercials.
Yes. Do you remember the Volkswagen that was frozen?
Yeah, I remember that. And not only that, I really was impressed by that 61 Lincoln Continental.
Oh, yeah.
That had the best warranty in the business.
Yeah,
21,000 miles.
Yeah, 2 years.
2 years.
It was great.
And what's really ironic, and it was 1 foot shorter than the year before.
Yes.
And what was really weird, I was watching, my wife and I were watching a movie, and it was, from back in that era, and there was that Lincoln
That
Continental.
car.
Yeah. I mean, that was cool stuff.
I'll tell you where you see some really great old classic cool cars is if you watch some old Alfred Hitchcock movies. You'll see a lot of them, more of the high-end convertibles, some of the European ones you'll see like in, what's that movie? Vertigo, I believe.
Yeah.
And there's the one over there that To Catch a Thief, I believe, the one that took place in France on the Mediterranean Sea there. That's a great movie.
Well, a lot of the new movies coming out too, stuff that I've seen, it's got the great old car, 60s cars, 50s, 70s cars.
Yeah, James Bond is another
Yeah.
series that Ian Fleming books with James Bond. It was at DB7, which was David Brown that was his name, David Brown, David Brown.
So what's that?
He was an industrialist who bought the original Aston Martin, and any model that came out after he bought it was called a DB7, DB8.
Okay.
So David Brown was the name of the guy that bailed out Aston Martin, I believe, in the 50s.
Well, I'll tell you the movie that had some really great classic cars in it was Ford versus Ferrari.
That was the best one. And those were all live films.
Well,
they actually took cars and they put the cameras on the cars. It wasn't fake out stuff like on TV,
we just watched it the other night, and it was amazing.
It
was an amazing.
Wasn't the best part when they locked him in the room and they threw him in the car and something happened? I think he may have.
Frank, have you seen that yet?
He had an accident.
No, it's a bucket list item for
You
me.
need to see it.
That's got Christian Bale as
he's so
Ken,
good.
Ken Miles.
He stole the show, actually.
Yeah, and they have and I got to tell you the cockiness, the internal cockiness of Carroll Shelby
is real.
Played by Matt Damon.
It's real though. That's a real.
I believe it.
He was a salesman beyond sale. He could just charm the crowd.
Well, one of the best scenes was when he stole the two
the stopwatches
off the Ferrari thing that was next to him, and later on you see the Italians all yelling at each other like, where are the stopwatches? And then he said, one of the pit crew guys comes up and he goes, "Wow, that's a pretty nice stopwatch." He goes, "You want one? It was made in Italy. It's Italian made," he said.
Great movie.
Hey, I got a Ford question for you, Todd.
Yes.
If you have safety recall on your car, do you have to take it to the dealer for that work? What's the protocol on that?
That's loaded. That's a loaded question.
That's an interesting question. Donald Trump gets a lot of those questions.
You just have to just tweet the answer to about
if I tweet it to you, okay, here's the down and dirty on it.
Yeah.
Almost in all warranties with vehicles, with cars, I'll talk about that first because it would apply somewhat. If your car's under warranty and the dealership is closed and you have to get an emergency repair, there's always provisions in the warranty. You have to look at the writing where you can get it repaired and get reimbursed. Say, for example, your car breaks down on a Sunday and then none of the dealers are open, but good old Crown Car Care, you happen to know my hotline number, and I show up and fix your car on a Sunday. You can take that receipt and send it to the manufacturer for the most part. I know Ford's that way. And you can get reimbursed for the expenses of the repair. Let's delve into the recall world.
Yes.
I don't know.
Okay.
But I can tell you that it might be a possibility. I can tell you with Ford generally has a very liberal policies that allow those exclusions to take place, because my reference to the previous statement about warranties was in reference to Ford Motor Company. So I've done many like that. But with the recall scenario, that's an interesting question, because, some of that stuff is mandated by the federal government. So if it's mandated by the federal government, I would think there have to be an out clause somewhere to get fixed if the dealership doesn't do it. Just throwing things against the wall.
Well, for me, I had an interesting situation where I brought the car in. My fuel tank was under recall.
Yes.
And the service manager told me that, well, there's nothing wrong with your fuel tank. If we change it out, we can do it under the recall. But if it fails, if the replacement item fails, you will still be responsible for getting that fixed. So that's kind of an interesting conundrum.
Yeah.
I think that guy was wrong.
I don't know if again,
Depends
it's
what the warranty
kind of has to do with what I was just talking about. You're responsible for your own choices. The people you trust in the actions they take. Duality exists in the world. Only truth is who you are and what you do. It circles back to that.
Frank, some service guy's going to give you that line, and you're going to go, "What? You've been hanging around Todd."
No, I don't know. It sounds to me like there could be some missing words in that statement, and I believe John agrees with me that I cannot believe that such a statement can be. So what he's saying is, if I get a recall done, that means I'm done with it. If it fails the next day, it's on me. Come on, there has to be a base warranty on the recall item, whatever Ford Motor Company would give it.
You would think.
I would think, and I tell you right now, it has to be. There can't be no warranty on the part for the recall. What happens if it breaks? Everything breaks, except Toto toilets and.
No, well, a gas tank is kind of serious stuff.
Yes.
Too. Was it really your gas tank, Frank?
I think more needs to be delved on that subject and really dealt with, because it sounds to me like you may have been.
We'll go over there.
There's some.
I may have been misinformed.
You know, you need.
Well, no, you're not you, but I believe someone may have spoke out of line.
Look at Frank. You're going to take the two of us will go over there with you to the dealership, and we'll stand behind you like we're your henchmen.
And we're going to take your Suburban.
Yeah, that's right.
With the tinted windows.
Yeah, you're going to go. These are my protectors now. Tell me that statement again, Mr. Service Manager. That's funny.
I love it.
I think we're getting ready to take our first break, so we're gonna do that and be right back with the MCBE Wednesday night show. Talk to you in a minute. Take care. back. John Campion, your co-host, with Frank,
Big Frank.
Big Frank, world famous Frank Mezzapel.
He's played at for the Detroit Tigers.
I was just gonna say he's their what your favorite position was?
Pitcher
Pitcher or second base, Frank? Would you
I played left out.
left?
No,
out?
not the pictures I've seen.
No, you're the guy they always walked.
Yeah.
I was the guy that had splinters in my backside from riding the bench.
No such thing. I've seen pictures of you out on the mound.
Do you bet you're left-handed, aren't you?
No.
You're right-handed. Okay, I wasn't sure.
He's got a mean fastball.
Oh, I
too.
know. I think all the pictures are backwards. You look left-handed.
Yeah.
Backwards.
When we did slides, they were always ended up backwards because you could put the slide in.
Right.
They
Oh,
didn't have the carousels then because they didn't come out with them.
Yeah.
So it was the Argus. You flip it.
The slides.
I still have them all.
So, but anyways, I think
boxes of
that's picking up on where we left off before a break. I certainly want to remind our listeners that if you think you've got a recall issue, it's probably a good idea to consult with Todd.
Yep.
And he can always
We can find
do
out
the
that
research
information
for you and help
yep.
you out and see if maybe it's something that he can help you with.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
And knowledge is power in that field because people are going to tell you what you want to hear. And sometimes you have to take a stance and tell people what they don't want to hear. And at least if it's the truth will set you free and it'll either fix the car or get you to the right people because it's safety. It's the car.
People have always, over the years, I think as we grew up, you always were worried about finding that, if you weren't taking it, you brought me back to a time when I lived in Richmond, Virginia, back in the early 80s, when you talk about like shoddy, garages, trying to find the right mechanic. You move and you go, God, because I really, honestly, the dealer thing really gets me. But when I lived in Richmond, I traveled all the time.
That was a big tobacco place. Tobacco.
Oh, Philip Morris, baby.
That's who my father worked for.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He went there many times.
Yeah, well, I was there. You could smell.
He used to go onto the floors, the production floors, and take trips down there and see him.
Wow, this is a pretty amazing facility when you see it off.
Hardwood
I-95.
floors all throughout the whole. It's just
right?
beautiful.
I had a bunch of friends that worked there, but the thing was, where I lived, I had a Firestone near me.
Yes,
and those guys were great. I remember one time I had a leg injury. Imagine that, with me having a leg injury.
Das Boot.
But I couldn't get out. And these guys, when I'd call them, they kind of remind me, Ken, who works for me, answers the phone like they had a guy named Ken there. Hi, thank you for calling Firestone. This is Ken. How may I help
he
you?
has a voice like it's great though.
Yeah. And so these guys, I'd say, hey, Ken, it's John Campion. And they come over and pick my car up and take it over and work on it and bring it back. And
that's what we do. That sounds like what I do.
Yeah, and I lived there 16 years, And
you had a nice relationship.
I did. And then, then I moved to Nashville. It was a different story. But coming down here, was able to.
You lived in Brentwood.
Yes.
Brentwood.
Yes. Hanging out with all the movie stars and the football players. Yeah. No, it was a great place to raise the kids. But anyways, that was my, it's nice when you find a good place. And, all the years I lived here and met you, maybe 3 years ago now?
You drugged me out of a business. You took me hand and you grabbed my hand and took me over to your place. And went there for an open house, and the rest is history.
Yeah, but it was at the time where you presented at the Treasure Coast Builders Association,
yes.
And everything that you presented came out of your mouth. It all made sense, and it was worded together. And I was like, wow, I was really impressed. So, anyways,
but you said that when you invited me to you were doing at your store over on Monterey.
I seduced
European
I seduced you with wine or beer or something.
Yes,
and next thing you know.
Yeah, it was a great time
in the group, MCBE. So, and everybody,
it was a great time.
Everybody in this group is grateful for him, aren't we, Frank?
I don't know about that, but
absolutely.
No, it's you've taken control. And how many times have you presented for other members who couldn't make it with their stuff?
I've done that.
How many people do that? I mean,
I even took pictures into her store.
Yeah, Todd is.
My favorite was when you actually filled in for the pharmacist.
Yeah, Kim, I did her whole presentation for her.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we lined everybody up for physicals and all that.
Of course.
Yeah.
The shots.
Men first.
Yes.
Turn your head.
Yikes.
Never mind.
And what a great business she has. And maybe I'd like to say a couple things. I had jotted down on my little notebook. I always carry a journal around with me at all times, and I write ideas down. It gives me insight into the day. And I jotted down some ideas I thought that would maybe be helpful, because, as you know, the reason this show exists is we're part of the Martin County Business Exchange, which is commonly short for McBiz. And John, he has his European bath over on Monterey. And what a great, how long you been there?
We have been in Stewart for 28 years.
Long time.
And 16 in Vero.
Well, I'm Crown Car Care, fairly new member there. I think I've been a member a little over 2 years. And we have, I'm going to say in the 50s, right? 55, 56 members. And we're businesses here locally. And we speak about it here on Wednesdays. And I happen to be the guest. But here's some ideas I had.
Hey, before you say it, do we have any Mets fans in that group?
I know we have a Tigers fan.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anybody who's a Mets
fan.
Mets
We got
fan. Wait. Oh, Evan is. I'm sorry.
Evan's
Evan.
a Mets fan. He's in the house.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-oh.
Well, you can't say that I'm a fan, because I'm actually an employee of the
You're
New
an
York
employee
How come your voice
of the
sounds
New
so
York
good?
Mets.
Because I am the voice of the New York Mets over at Clover Park.
Okay.
So I'm the guy that introduces the batters, makes all the
Oh,
announcements.
really?
He's got the voice.
Is that why he's got a better microphone than we do? I know what it
handle
is.
all the announcements, the music, the videos. I do everything.
Well, you take the magic mask off, he probably sounds like we do.
Of
Yeah.
course. He's got
He's got
one of those things that amplifies
He's got
it.
the silky voice.
I have a face for radio. That's what
It's
they
great.
say.
Yeah.
It's great. Well, you're really fortunate, and
I have a great job. I do. I have the best seat in the house to watch a ball game.
You do.
I do.
Frank takes me to the game sometimes. He gives me VIP seating. He brings
Does he?
Cracker Jacks.
Does he
brings-
sit you out on the berm?
That's the place to.
that's
No,
a
he
berm.
bought me hot dogs. He brought me cracker. We almost didn't get
Okay.
in because he brought his own Cracker Jacks for us, and they
Probably.
made him. They were going to let us
He
in.
probably took
I
you
brought
on.
in contraband.
He
Yeah.
probably took you on dollar hot dog night if he's buying hot dogs.
No. This was a business trip.
Okay, I just want to
That's
make sure.
Thursday night, right?
Right. Hey,
Evan.
you remember that Thursday night's dollar night, dollar beer,
Yeah.
dollar hot
Really?
dog,
Oh,
dollar
really?
soda. That's during St. Lucie Mets season.
Right.
Now,
right.
New York Mets season, that's a whole different ball game. No pun intended.
So do you?
Yeah.
Do you go? So then, but you're always down. You go up to New York.
No, I live here. I live
Okay.
here.
All right.
I've been with the organization for 8 seasons, and I do
Wow.
all of spring training, and then I stay on and do all of the minor league team, which is the high A ball team, the St. Lucie Mets.
Do you know quite a bit of the players and like stats and information like that?
I do, but a lot of the stuff I'm not allowed to discuss just because of privacy and things like that. But stuff that you would see like every day in print, I can talk about it, but I have to be very careful what I say and how I say it because of my affiliation
Well,
with
you
Major
hear
League
and see
Baseball.
things probably.
Of course I
Some
do.
good things.
Well,
Of course I do.
We'll have to meet after the show here. And give
Well, I have an even better one. My son, who's 17, is the bat boy for the Mets.
really?
So he's right there with the players on the field. So he established a personal relationship with Tim Tebow a couple of years ago when Tebow was here.
oh,
So yeah.
So you got Tebow to come over and cut your grass and all that.
no.
okay.
No. I got to be nice. No.
I know that's
Tebow's
that's
a
very
great guy.
cool. That's
Tebow's a
very cool.
really super nice guy,
That's
as
great.
all the players are. They are.
Well, baseball, man, I'm a baseball fan. I
Yeah.
just since I was a little kid, we used to talk about it, and I didn't mean to stop you from
No,
doing your stuff, but
there's no stuff to have.
when I lived in Chicago
Mhm.
back in the days, I used to tell people, I lived in Chicago when Ernie Banks played first. And my brother and I used to hop on the L and ride down to
Yeah.
Chicago from the burbs and sit
Yeah.
in the bleachers.
I
for
went to
a while.
Wrigley Field once on a business trip when I was doing syndicated talk radio, and I had the privilege of getting a tour of Wrigley Field.
How cool.
And that was the coolest thing, especially the apartments that are beyond left field that
Right.
have the bleachers,
Yep.
Yeah.
that they sell those godforsaken seats for so much money. And it's like a party. It's like another whole, atmosphere. And those people can actually watch the ball game now.
You can. Yep.
which is great.
Yeah.
I remember going to the games and they had the big manually operated scoreboard, and people would always stick their feet out through the holes that did the scoreboard.
You know, since they remodeled it, but they also had added a lot of seats across the street where you're talking about from back in the day.
That's a very cool stadium. It really
it's
is.
It's just cool being around in Wrigleyville.
I've been there. I've been to Fenway. Fenway's another historic park.
Yeah, that's one I have not.
The hot dogs at Fenway are special. I will say that much. They come on these square hot dog buns. Oh, they're so good.
Wow.
I've been to Comiskey Park.
That's another great place.
That's what the
Comiskey
Park.
That's another great place.
It's torn down now, but that was where the White Sox played.
Yeah, I was there back in the day. You bet. Yeah, we lived in Chicago from '64 to '70.
Harry Carey was the announcer at the time.
Oh yeah, bless his heart.
Jack Brickhouse was the announcer for the Cubs.
Yeah, and Lloyd Pettit.
Yeah, have any of you guys ever been to Shea in New York before they knocked it down?
No.
I used to go to Shea all the time because my dad's affiliation. My dad was the president of Ballantine Beer back in the day in Rheingold. So that was the beer of the Mets. So I was fortunate enough to be able to go to the 69 World Series when they won the game. And that was like an experience.
Yeah,
I used to collect beer cans and I had both those brands. Can you imagine collecting beer cans today? It would be it wouldn't be allowed, would it?
Ballantine beer with the rings.
Yeah, and they also remember Schmidt's beer had all the players on them.
Yeah.
Schmidt's beer.
Yeah.
Well, I have the 1969 sports page from the Chicago Tribune.
Oh wow!
Featuring when the Mets won the World Series.
Very cool.
Yeah, I have that, and
that's worth some money
because that was the year that the Cubs kind of choked.
Yeah,
and the Mets came from behind and got in there.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. So it was brutal.
Yeah,
that's
brutal. When baseball was baseball back in the day. That's when the players played. Because they loved the game and it wasn't about the money. Now it's like, how many millions of dollars can I get?
It's
way different.
Yeah.
I saw a movie, I think it was Tim Robbins. It was about the AAA baseball, and he traveled around and he was a pitcher. You remember that movie? Bull Durham, I believe it was.
Bull Durham, yeah.
Kevin Costner was in it. What a great movie.
By the way, Frank, if you want to chime in, you're welcome to. I think we just excluded Frank from the conversation.
Frank, do you remember on Bull Durham, I believe he got his streak back when he had to wear something, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, Frank will tell you.
Remember that one? Yeah.
Frank was in all the Tiger stadiums.
He had to wear ladies' underwear.
No.
Oh, yes. That was it.
That was what broke him out of the street. I'm telling you.
This is a family show. And we're going to take a break. We'll come back and listen to. Yeah, Frank. Get ready to tell some of your Tiger stories, Frank. We'll be right back.
Right.
Martin County Business Exchange Wednesday night show. We'll be right back. Thanks. Watch out, folks. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back. We are done breaking. We've got about less than 15 minutes left in the show tonight. We hope you're hanging in there and listening to us. We're moving along quickly on a lot of different subjects. John Campion with our co-host, world famous Big Frank Mezzapel. He's calling in from somewhere out there in Martin County.
Sequestered, yes.
Frank, how have you been? I know you did go to the gym quite a bit, and that's how you got your moniker. Have you been able to get to the gym to work out?
No, my wife won't let me go to the gym anymore.
See, okay.
I had to kind of put my membership on pause right now.
So we still call you Big Frank, though.
All right, thanks.
So,
That's
hey,
great.
Frank, you obviously you went to the original Detroit Tigers Park.
Tiger Stadium. My dad would take me to Tiger Stadium. It was difficult to get a good seat in Tiger Stadium because of the way the stanchions were
they were in the
replaced.
way, man. Those columns were a pain.
I'm telling you, it
You
was
know,
brutal.
You get behind one of
And,
those, you got a crooked neck.
Frank, could you tell us a brief the story that when you were a boy, you listened to the radio and you actually heard Greg on his first baseball game that he
this is
announced?
back in the 60s, and the Tigers were on their swing in the Western states, and they're playing in Los Angeles. And I'm listening to Ernie Harwell call the game, and in fact, I have one of those little transistor radios. I'm in bed because it's a night game, and it's past my bedtime, so I have my radio on under the covers, and I'm listening to the game. And the game went into extra innings, and during commercial breaks, suddenly a voice that sounded like Ernie's but a little bit younger came on. Turns out years later, I found out that younger Ernie Harwell was Greg Wyatt,
who owns the radio station that you work for.
That was WJR in Detroit.
That's some pretty amazing stuff.
The great voice of the Great Lakes.
Well, you know, last week he was being very humble on something, and we had Kay Batchelor from
Impact Design.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for being here, Todd. Anyways, I looked at her, and she is a sports enthusiast. You know, she and Rick are huge Dolphins.
Oh, especially football.
So what happened is I looked at her and I said, Kay, Greg is very humble, but let me just tell you, he was, number 7 man on at ESPN back in 1979 when they cranked up. So
yeah, he was
very cool. So, anyways, I had been to Tiger Stadium as I lived over in the western part of the state, but not right in Detroit like you, Big Frank. And, I too, prior to that we were talking at the break about being in Chicago. And I used to have my little transistor radio going on when the Cubs were on the road. Of course, they didn't play night games then, so it was always on the road. But I listened to the Cubs and the Blackhawks and the Bulls and all that stuff back in the day. So.
One of my first jobs I'm from the Chicago area, was working in Highland Park for Edgewood School. I was a janitor in the summer for one summer. Edgewood School, Highland Park,
right next to Deerfield, where I live. Yeah. Sure.
And I used to go get drinks at the Snuggery, which was in Deerfield. Well, the Snuggery.
I think I had got my first Snuggery from my brother when I lived in Deerfield.
Snuggie, yes.
I know. I was trying to mask that.
It's a family show. Wait a minute.
So, hey, Todd, you had a couple things you wanted to share.
No, we're good. We've covered everything.
Well, pretty amazing guy. Hey, and Evan, I know that you're working on some other things too, but that's a pretty cool job you have, and that's having a job in baseball. That's not a job.
Yeah, it's kind of a dream job.
Yeah.
I've been a diehard Mets fan, and I just stumbled into the job one day, and right place, right time. And, I'm just blessed. 8 seasons, 8 years. And, I told my bosses at the stadium, I'm like, I'm not going to quit. So you're stuck with me until I'm 6 feet under home plate, pretty much. So they're stuck with me.
Can you tell us about the update at the stadium? What's going on there? And are they spending a ton of money on this?
Don't tell us what you can.
The money's.
I mean, tell us what you can.
The money's spent. The money's done. The renovations are done.
What'd they do?
Oh, you haven't seen it? You have to go over there.
Well,
have you seen it at all?
I just saw the signs that said they were doing it. My son plays basketball up there at times, and we've seen the signs. I don't know anything about it.
It looks like a brand new stadium. Brand new concourses, brand new fan shop, ticket offices.
It's nice then.
The player locker rooms are all state of the art. It's literally it's like walking into the breakers.
Can you get me some free tickets to go?
No, I can't do that.
Do they have? Is the capacity? Is the capacity still the same?
Capacity is still the same. The capacity is still the same. They have this really cool feature out in left field now, where there's like a boardwalk, so it kind of loops over left field. And you can walk around, and they have this new bar that's out there beyond left field that you can go to that they built. It's a very cool place.
Like if you're looking at that, the scoreboard there is
to the left.
It's to
the left of the scoreboard if you're looking at it,
like by the foul line. And
like the old tiki bar that used to be in front of the concession stand on the third base side. That's gone. They ripped that down. And now beyond that, you just walk, and it's a walk around,
Well, that is cool.
and you can actually see the new batting cages where the players practice. The players have all new locker rooms, all new training facilities, all new practice fields. It's really I'm impressed.
Evan, let me ask you.
Yeah.
As you know, this business group that we're in, I'm in charge of the presentations. Off air, maybe you could give me the name of somebody I could contact there to maybe come and speak to our business group about all the great things that are going on in that organization.
Sure. I'll give you the girl you want to talk to is Casey Blair.
Let me write this down.
Yeah, Casey Blair. She's in charge of our community
That's
relations.
a baseball name right
Casey
there.
with a C?
Casey with a K.
Casey
Blair.
stepped up to the plate.
And I'll give you her email address when we get off the air.
Perfect. Well, thank you. That'd be
Yeah,
great.
no,
That would be a
she
nice
takes care-
presentation. It would be wonderful. I'm sure.
She will be more than happy to come out and speak to your organization.
Yeah, we just like to because
Sure.
I'm fascinated by somebody had deep pockets, someone had some passion, some love of the game, and decided to put it all together and mix it in with this great idea and renovation.
It's
I love it.
amazing. The stadium really is. I can't say enough good about what they did in the stadium. Honestly, it's like it needed a fresh coat of paint, and it got more than a fresh coat of paint. I will say that.
So
much.
did the Mets pay for that whole thing, or is
I-
that more
I-
part
I
of the?
think- I'm
part of
not
the
sure.
I think
city?
there's a new sponsor, isn't there? I didn't.
Well, the park is now called Clover Park. It was First Data Field,
Yes.
and before First Data Field, it was Tradition Field.
Right.
Before Tradition Field, it was Thomas J. White Stadium. So now it's
Correct.
Clover. Now it's.
I think
Clover
I looked at
Park.
Clover. It's a business.
Yeah, Clover is. They handle the point of sale stuff.
Well, that's first. It's similar then because First Data.
Credit
That's
card
what they do.
transactions.
Right.
Transactional.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh.
Exactly, Frank. Exactly. And they. Clover may have bought out First Data. I'm not sure how that works. I don't want to say
It's a
anything.
big, whoever it is,
but
big.
it's huge.
To-
It's huge.
I mean, it was.
It's huge.
Hey, you know what, Todd? You
Yeah.
get KC. I bet you can hit her up for tickets. I mean, somewhere along the
What
line,
do you
you're gonna
think
hit
we're doing?
somebody
I'm
up.
going to get some for
I
the
know.
whole
You come-
organization.
you
I
know
got
what?
ideas.
You come take a sponsorship at the stadium, and we'll get your business
Well,
up on the scoreboard.
Well, I think
you
Casey's.
get all the tickets you want.
I've got all kinds of ideas.
Okay, you talk to Casey.
You are a scary man
You talk to
sometimes.
Casey. Casey will
Frank-
hook you up.
Frank, the gears are coming out the top of his brain.
By the way, Frank's official nickname, just so you guys know, he never told you this, but his real nickname is Frank the Tank. That's what he goes by, Frank the,
The tank. Well, let's Big Frank
Frank
the tank. Oh,
And priest and a rabbi actually gave him that name.
I believe
see.
it.
Well,
I
he's
believe it.
built like a brick.
Yeah. Boom.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, where is?
Hey, listen. So that sounds pretty good. I look forward to that presentation.
Yeah, you know, if I'm
I got-
thinking it's done.
we got two of our best men on it. Right? That's great. That's
Yes.
great.
Great.
Good for you, Todd. Way to get things moving.
We've-
And you've got your little note. We have about 4 minutes left, and
Hey, let me read one.
You want to do some automotive news?
No, give it to us. Fire
I pulled some stuff down from the automotive news website.
long, Frankie.
go ahead.
All right. Hummer is going to unveil its EV this fall.
Yeah, electric, full like 400, I believe 450-mile range, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
And it's
quite
designed
a
to,
range. It's a Tesla beater on range, actually.
Yeah. It's going to compete against the Ford Bronco.
And
South Korea is launching a safety probe into Tesla vehicles, and that has to do with their autopilot and their safety braking. So that's part of their transportation ministry. So that's kind of an interesting thing. Here's a fun thing. Speaking of Tesla, Elon Musk is merely weeks away from his next multi-billion-dollar payout. Elon Musk's compensation package, the largest corporate pay deal ever struck between a CEO and a board of directors, includes a $20.3 billion option split into 12 tranches that could yield the Tesla founder more than $50 billion if all his goals are
isn't he
met.
buddies with that guy that escaped from jail? What was his name?
Goshen?
Goshen and him buddies or what?
No, I don't think so.
You know, true story about Goshen. One of our really best friends in Nashville was the lawyer. for him.
He escaped in a box. That's how
Well,
he got
yeah,
out
I
of
know
it.
what happened is Greg, my
Just
neighbor,
like in the movies.
he was a lawyer for 30 years.
So
with
you have a
Nissan.
firsthand, not first.
Well, it's sad
secondhand
because he
information.
has been in jail. They tricked him to come over there. When he stepped off the plane, they arrested him, and this has been almost 3 years.
I think they call that cuffing stuff.
Well, it's the Japanese are not very fair about things. But
No,
anyway,
and he did. He orchestrated a
I
complete
know
extraction.
what he
from
did.
you.
I know what he did, but
He
I
was
know
a little guy and he got into a box.
Well, anyway, sorry to change the subject. Go ahead. Hey, Frank.
More Frank news.
Didn't Tesla just have a the stock went up? It's huge.
Well, they're moving. They're going to be building the Cybertruck. I can tell you this in Texas, and the sheet metal that's on that Cybertruck is the same stainless steel composition as used on his spaceships. It's the same exact
That's
steel,
correct.
which is
Really.
denim previously, and it has the ability to undent itself. So it's very interesting metal. It has some metal memory, I believe, in it.
They're using exactly the same alloy that
Yes.
exactly right, Todd.
That's right.
That they actually came up with a because originally they were just going to use the 301 stainless steel.
No, this
and
is a
they,
hybrid that was developed for the spaceship, and that's why they
Correct.
can use it, and it's bulletproof up to 9mm.
and it's
bulletproof.
easier for welding too than the
Mhm.
stainless steel. So that's
It's going to be a
that was the
transformer.
key factor.
And they were going to be building it in Texas because he said kapooey yui with California and their craziness.
Right.
They did.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
the facts. That's the real facts.
Everything's bigger in Texas. All right. Well, we are getting ready to wrap this thing up for another Wednesday. We'll be back in August.
The cattle are bigger in Texas.
That's right. Well, thank you very much, Evan. Great job on the board. Frank, behave yourself. You
Well,
tank.
no promises.
And John Campion signing off with our great guest, Todd Harris, and all his terrific insights. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week.
All right.